Just to give some basic insight for those of you who ordered the PitchLogic ball and have the app and need a little help understanding some of the numbers. The first thing I want to tell you is it's not important, especially if we're younger, and I would say especially starting with the ball, if we've never had any type of information like this, it's not necessarily important to look at highs and lows. The importance is always going to be looking at trends. Are we having consistent numbers trending upwards, trending downwards? If they're sporadic, what that then means is that there's also a lot of inconsistency in our motion. So just to go over the basics, obviously speed is their velocity. Total spin is how many times the ball is spinning per minute. Vertical movement is, if you go to the scatter plot, you get to see, okay, this is where dead center, and then from release, and this is how much it's breaking vertically versus how much it breaks horizontal movement, breaking horizontally from that space right there. The spin efficiency is something that you can look at. So this blue number here, this blue arrow is going to be the direction that the ball's spinning. This blue circle is going to be the axis that it's spinning on. So when this blue circle lines up with this blue arrow, that's where spin efficiency becomes a very high number on that case. Okay, let's try to find one with less efficiency. So when you look at something like this, these pitches here, you see a lower percentage of spin efficiency because the direction that it's spinning and then how the axis that it's spinning in that direction, you get a much lower number here. Spin to velo ratio is more of an algorithmic number that they come up with for themselves. It's not really something you want to look too much into at that point. One of the other features that you can use is also the tagging feature. So depending on the pitch they're throwing, in order to create consistent trends, you can tag whether they're throwing fastball, drop ball, rise ball, any of those things. And you want to, especially at these ages, and I would say with any age, consistently, most of the kids that have walked in have no idea, especially if they've never been on wrap or anything, how they're spinning the ball, if it's an actual breaking pitch, or if they're just throwing angled pitches. So being able to tag the ball, and then again, specifically just looking at trends and discovering where you're at. Okay, how much do they spin the ball right now? You're not looking to compare to what you see anywhere else. The first thing you should always do is meet yourself where you're at and meet your athlete or child where they're at. So when we look at those things, we're looking at, again, trends in that area. And I'll show you a specific item. He sees me in person. We're going to go to her sessions. Okay, we'll go to sessions. Now you can see if we look at the dates here, she's been generally trending upwards in terms of what she's thrown. These, for me, I have labeled. If I click speed, it's going to label them as the fastest speed. If I click date, it's going to label the dates in order. If I've clicked too recently, they're going to have the highest speed and then the date. So when I look at this one right here, and I go to pitches, you can see that 53 is the fastest. We scroll down. There's a lot of variance there, 47 to 53. And so we're looking there is what does 53, what does that look like? And that's one of the great features with the app is you can go to throw. You can click the camera right here. What that'll do is open up the camera. And when you click this right here, when the red part is not the square, when it's the circle, it's recording. Anytime you throw the ball, it's going to pick that up. And so we get to see video of these pitches. So we get to start to understand, especially if you're in the university, like where in their pitch are things happening or not happening for her. Generally for her, if we see her pop up really quickly, nothing much good is going to happen. She's going to throw something like that. We see 51s and 52s. Generally, she's better at shifting. So if we see 51s, 52s, and more along the lines 50, 51, we're going to see her shift well, meaning her getting over top of her right leg but we're not going to see her add any energy to that with her back leg and her drop. So really good shift, but not a lot of weight behind it, so it stays at 51. Start to get to 53, there's a decent drop, meaning she just didn't go into her shift, but we're not on the performance side of it, meaning the drop is there. We could do a better job of moving. So you see the back foot work a little more. So now there's the back foot, and now when she does better in terms of putting everything together, there's a good drop, a good shift, which in her last session, we were able to hit 4 55s right there. Drop, good shift. And so now she knows when she's at home practicing, these are the things you want to be able to get to. Okay, I know if I'm popping straight up, I know nothing's going to be above 50. So if I hear the radar say that I'm throwing fastball, now I know my actual adjustment. It's not release the ball early, release the ball later, any of those things. It's okay. I go back, maybe do some drops and shifts together. I know if I see 52, 53, that means I had a really good shift, but I'm likely the adjustment I made is, yeah, I'm not popping up, but I'm just diving straight down into my pitch. And when I'm saying these, I'm talking personally for Haley right there. She knows these things now, and that's how she practices at home, which has allowed her over these past months to go from, having a high of 53 in a session, but then being riddled with some 47s, 48s, 49s, lots of 50s, to having sessions where she knows how to pick things up and she knows how to build more consistency and have more of those high-end pitches happen and stay. And rarely, that was just a warm-up pitch, but nothing below 50 here. And then once we got going, right here, from here on, everything's 53 and above. And so that's what you're looking to build for your athlete. And when you combine that with the university, when our drops, our shifts, or those things, we can get really, really conclusive into what that number on the radar means if you have a radar for yourself, and then looking at those variables. Then I would say you can move on to a little more spin. But honestly, especially when we're just throwing fastball, as they get more consistent with their motion, you're also going to see improvements in how much it's spinning. Because if we look at the total spin right here, let's go to her high ends, sessions. Let's go to that first session again. Pitches, 53. She's throwing it 735, 879, 807, 612, 782. And that was 815. Now, a month and a half later, almost 2 months later, we're not working on spin. We're working on having your body in a position to be able to deliver your hand into the ball. 920, 1076, 1101, 914, 1130, 1072. All those numbers are starting to coincide because we're selecting one thing to give us understanding and validation, and then we're understanding that what piece of that is within the university, and we're going to see all those things start to have upticks, because if my body's in better position, I have a better ability to produce things. So those are kind of the basics and kind of where you want to work through and what you can get to when using this app. Yes, there's the ball path feature. You can pay for that ball path feature. If the majority of you do, I can do a video on that and how that helps as well. But most of the Zooms that I have, I get to see the ball path and I explain that kind of individually for them.